Welcome to the Knocked Off Podcast.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Jeans?
They're a bit tighter, like a bit more, especially how big Marnie is. Cha-ching. No, it's just my balls are really saggy.
Yes, welcome back, listeners. A bit of a while between drinks, but finally here, and I'm sat with Jaden Ennersley. Am I saying that right, mate? Ennersley?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Sat here in your little granny flat, I suppose it is, mate. Nice, tiny, cosy little show.
Yeah, my little editing den that I've recently just moved into with me old man. It's good.
Mate, bit of a backstory on you. Would you like me to tell it, or yourself? You're probably better off filling in the listeners on what you do, how you do it.
Yeah, so currently running JA Edits, which a few people know of, I guess, if you're in the dirt bike industry. Born and bred here in Alice Springs. Lived here my whole life. Went to school here and that. Dropped out of school halfway through year 10 because I wasn't doing my work. Ended up working at Desert Edge Motorcycles as a small motor mechanic. And that's pretty much where the filming started. Started off just as a hobby. Michael Vroom, the owner of Desert Edge, and my stepfather, he pretty much come out into the workshop one day with a camera and said, "Do you want to come down the track and film the boys?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And that's pretty much where it started.
Before all that, were you sort of interested in the media sort of side of things? Was it always, filming shit growing up and stuff like that, or not really? Was it a bit of a thrown in the deep end and you really enjoyed it?
Yeah, not really. I've ridden dirt bikes since I was a little kid, but never done photos or videos or anything like that. When I was a lot younger, there wasn't videos getting around back then. It was more just photography. I did start off actually taking a few photos in 2014, 15, I'd say. I think it started off, I created a little JA Edits Instagram page, and it was photos and a couple videos. But then I soon turned to just doing videos. I just like the videos more than photos.
How do I say it? Sort of, did you think back then when, Romy came in and asked you if you wanted to do something, that it was something that you would continue to enjoy doing as much as you enjoy doing it now, and obviously making a living off it? Was it instant sort of thing, or did it?
I definitely didn't think it would get to where it is now. I thought, that this would be cool to go down and get some footage to look back on, and the boys can watch it. And that's when I started the YouTube channel as well, before I had anything else. Like, I had Facebook and Instagram, but it was more just like a personal thing. But yeah, I never thought this could turn into a career. I was like, I'll just go and get some footage of the boys, and they loved watching it, and so did everyone else that was a part of Fink in that. And just slowly grew from there every year, I suppose.
So was it, what'd you say, 2014 when that sort of happened? How long after that before you sort of got in, bought yourself a camera and got a little somewhat serious with it? Yeah,
2015, I reckon, was the year I bought my first camera. It was a Nikon D7100. I didn't know much about cameras, to be honest. So I just jumped online and found this camera and thought that'll look pretty cool and it'll work. And bought my first camera when I was an apprentice mechanic at Desert Edge in I reckon it was 2015.
So working at Desert Edge, did you finish your time there before it closed its doors, mate, or?
I didn't. I didn't end up finishing my complete apprenticeship. I got Cert 3 qualification. Everyone said, you're crazy. Why don't you just stick around and finish to get fully qualified? But I knew at that time that that wasn't going to be something I was going to do for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? I wasn't as obsessed with working on bikes anymore. So I thought, nah, like I'll always figure out a way to go and make money or make a living. Obviously, I still enjoy working on bikes, but like I said, if I ever was going to go back to it, I still had Cert 3, but I didn't need Cert 4, I guess.
Yeah. Why was it purely just for the reason of you got a bit addicted to the videography and stuff like that, or was it something else that sort of lured you away from?
Nah, when I left Honda Desert Edge, that was before I was even close to doing filming full time. I was just doing it as a bit of a side hobby, pretty much only for Fink really, because I'd film the Honda guys for Rumi and that. But the reason sorry, can you repeat that question again?
Or just asking like why you left, like you didn't complete your apprenticeship.
Oh yeah, sorry, because I knew that wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. But the filming wasn't close to doing filming full time.
So what'd you do after you left Desert Edge then?
Went and did tiling for about 2 to 3 years, and that was pretty cool too. It was a cool job, but yeah, I guess I'm not really a big fan of the 9 to 5 job.
Yeah, do you find it's like you much more enjoy getting down the track than burning a bit of the midnight oil, up editing, or are you more do that then the next day you get in the editing during the daytime? Like what sort of?
Yeah, I don't stay up till crazy hours doing editing. I like to get my sleep and try and get up early the next day and be productive. Unless there's a deadline, like I'm filming for someone and it needs to be completed, then I'll stay up and do it. But yeah, like I do see a lot of people that'll film all day and get straight home and be on the computer all night long. And I do get home and jump straight into it. Like even today after filming you and your dad, I got straight home, uploaded the videos, went through and found a cool one and just put it straight up onto the socials. But yeah, if it's late at night, once I start getting tired, I just can't think.
Yeah.
I can't be creative.
What do you think it is that you enjoy most about doing this sort of stuff? Is it the dirt bikes, or would you be happy to go film anything?
Oh, I love filming dirt bikes. That's where it all started. And I have filmed a lot of other things for people, customers, businesses, things like that. But the dirt bikes, yeah, when I get the feedback of people saying like, oh, we love your videos, or it's so good for people to watch their own footage back, even to see how they look on the bike. Even Uncle Greenie loves watching my footage because he can watch how the suspension's working. Yeah. So if people love watching my footage and I love doing it, then I love it.
Well, you sort of opened up especially the Fink side of things. It used to be, the once a year a video. Fink would do their own sort of movie recapping the year, a few highlights and stuff. I guess you sort of opened, especially the pre-running side of everything, not so much the racing, of just how much riding everyone does and sort of what it's all about. Like your videos sort of show the whole 223 k's of the track rather than, I don't know, it feels like the highlights they're sort of lumped into the one thing and it's all very short. Like, yeah, I don't know, yeah, do you feel the same way? Like you've really opened up to a wider community on just what Fink's all about?
Yeah, for sure. Like the Fink DVDs are always really exciting and good in that. There has been a few years where we've gone to watch a Fink DVD and there's a few people missing in it that we thought should have been in it in the top 3 or something like that. But the Fink DVDs are always awesome. I'm definitely not bagging on them. I've always watched them since I was a kid. That's probably where I started to get that bit of hook onto wanting to film, just from watching the Fink DVDs and seeing the helicopter footage and being like, man, this is so cool. And then to actually go out there and be getting that footage. But what you were saying before, I think it's good for people to see how much time and effort people put into this race, you know, as well as money spent and that. So yeah, all the months that people spend up here pre-running and clocking up the Ks up and down, that's what it's good for us to try and expose to people how brutal this race is.
Yeah, well, it's funny talking to you today. Like you said, you haven't raced since what was it, 2018, and still just how much knowledge you had on the track. Like it's, you know, it's you got to spend a lot of time down there to know as much about the track as, you know, a lot of people riding. Like there was a few things today when we were talking. I was trying to jog my memory, and it's obviously you've logged a lot of Ks, obviously only on the service road, but yeah, you spend a lot of time down there, and you know you going with multitudes of groups and different people, and yeah, it's pretty cool, I guess, to see. Is it for you? Do you see much different in the planning or the style of different dudes, especially the faster guys? Like, do you see much difference in the way they do things or handle themselves while pre-running?
Yeah, for sure. I was only thinking about this the other day, going pre-running with different variety of people, you know, from just some dude who's coming here to have a bit of fun to David Walsh, the 5 times King of the Desert. And I've watched everyone go up and down there, and yeah, there's different levels to it, that's for sure. But yeah, everyone does attack it differently for sure. A lot of the boys have a similar form. You sort of, if you know, once you've ridden down here, you pick up this sort of desert form. It's not like motocross or anything like that, but yeah, these boys, they've all got a similar form, but they're on different levels, I'd say.
Who do you think has the best?
Oh, would have to say David Walsh at the moment. Like when people ask me, I do get a fair few people messaging me saying, you know, who do you think's going to win this year? And I say, I think it's going to be, I'd put my money on David until he retires. Plus, I just go off results. Like he's got the last 5.
Yeah, there's one thing about Dobby. It's so hard since he won that first one to count him out of winning the thing. Like I was speaking about it today, but just what he can do on the first 80 Ks and just getting the other dude's heads, I suppose. Like,
yeah,
it'd be pretty disheartening to leave 2 minutes before him, and you know he's catching dudes before the 60K mark. Like,
yeah, he's definitely got some secrets down there, that's for sure. And I think it's just track knowledge. He knows the track better than anyone, I'd say. And I feel like on race day when the track changes, he knows what it's going to be like, if that makes sense. So you could do tons of pre-running and you know where the dunes and corners and whoops are, but then once the cars go through, it completely changes. I feel like he knows where to go.
Do you feel like he stepped it up a level with that as well, jumping in the car on the way down just to see what the track's doing? Do you think that's his main, not ammunition for it, but
Yeah, it would definitely be obviously a bonus because he gets to go down and kind of do a sweep ride before everyone else in Smoothie's trophy truck. But even if he wasn't in the car, it doesn't matter. He's still like he's done that many finks now. Yeah, it's just the experience down there. He knows the track.
You've obviously done how many times? Well, roughly how many times do you think you've left from Alice Springs to go down the Fink track?
Probably more times than I've had hot dinners. If I had to guess, it'd be probably been to Fink and back 40, 50 times.
But that's going the whole way. Like you would have been down to Deepwell and back a lot more times than that.
Yeah, especially coming into Fink, filming people, and just doing Ks up and down. Like even we went down today. I'll be going down again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day.
out of all that time spent down the track, what's been the funnest thing you've had to film?
The funnest thing I've had to film. Oh, it's every moment down there is awesome. It doesn't feel like work to me, but probably be the year I followed Dobby in the helicopter and he caught up and battled with Callum for a bit. That was just eye-opening. That was crazy.
Did you feel like, I know myself, like watching it, you didn't get a bit excited? Like, did you just have like a massive adrenaline rush sort of thing, like seeing the dust up on the horizon, like when you were chasing with Dobby? Like, was it sort of an out-of-body thing?
Yeah, I think I definitely was just like, this is happening right here, right now in front of me. Like, I was just focusing on making sure I captured it, you know, because how often do you see two guys bar to bar being able to chase them down the Fink track? And that's what a lot of people said to me. There's lots of chopper footage, but, you know, two guys going down head to head. That was, just crazy.
What about that? So it was just purely how all that unfolded was what made it so enjoyable for you?
Yeah, and just a different, literally POV, like sitting in the helicopter. He made it look easy, but I know how rough that track is. But just being right next to him from Alice all the way to Fink, pretty much. It went so fast. It felt like I was up there for 45 minutes, but we would have been up there for 2 hours, just under 2 hours. And just to watch his form and how the bike works, like I said, the whole way, compared to people that are standing there watching him come past, we were following him the whole way. So, it was crazy.
How did it feel when he lifted the hand off and sort of gave you a bit of a wave when you were riding up beside him?
Oh, that was crazy. I literally said in the video, I was like, yes, like, that's so sick. It was a big, I think, it was a big, fast, straight, fair bit before Fink. And I think that was his time to sort of sit down, have a bit of a rest, and then he looked up at us and gave us the thumbs up, like, we did it. I thought, you've checked out, mate.
It's the funnest part you've had in it. What's something you dread, or have you had a bad slip up, you've forgotten to save some footage, or there's been a shit day down the track where nothing's going right?
Oh, I'm trying to think now. We may have had a day where sometimes, and this is just the Fink track, you have bike problems. So I go down to do some filming and the boys are just having a terrible day. Yeah. But that's just all part of the journey, I guess. I don't think I've had the worst. Is this just for Fink, pretty much?
Oh, anything with the camera in hand.
I actually recently just did a huge job for my mate in Tennant Creek, probably the biggest job I've ever done. And I got home and went to plug my hard drive in. Oh, sorry, I was using it. And computer started playing up, so I restarted it. And then when I went to plug the hard drive in, it just wouldn't read. And I thought, if I lose all this footage, it's game over. So I took the hard drive into Alistronics and they fixed it, and they said there was maybe 88 files out of 1,000 that they couldn't recover. And then when I got back home, touch wood, there's still all the videos are on there. But that was probably one of the scariest moments. I don't think there was any dirt bike footage on there, but still, that's not something we can just go back and do. It was a job that was completed and I filmed it. And if all that footage was gone, I wouldn't have been happy.
Do you have moments like that a bit where you're worried that something's not saved or transferred across or anything like that, or you're pretty good with it?
Yeah, I do, but with the technology we've got these days, they're pretty safe. Like, you're supposed to eject a hard drive before you unplug it. I've probably unplugged it a couple times and it's been fine. But I think when I do a big serious job and I get home, I'm a little bit nervous, thinking, I hope I don't lose any of this, 'cause that would not be fun.
when you're down the track, you're with a heap of different characters. You obviously spoke before about their different styles and their methods. Do you sit there and watch anyone get dressed or anything like that, and they got any funny quirks, like, or anything like that? You know, tape a funny part of the body. Like I was talking to Grabbo last year on the podcast, and he said that checks his front wheel nut, back wheel nut, checks his brake leaves, like something silly, like every time before he starts a race. Like obviously it's not every time before he gets on the bike, but
Everyone's got their own little thing that they do. I don't know. If Hamo's watching this, he'll hate me. But when I watch Hamo get dressed, he takes a long time, but everything has to be perfect. And we sort of shit stir him a bit, but when he puts his knee braces and his skins and his pants on, he just sits there and picks it and pulls it. Has to be perfect, like perfect. The young fella I filmed, Jack Nunn, for the Supercross, he does it all the time and it works. When he's on the start line, he pretty much screams and pumps his fists in the air, and it kind of wigs out the other riders. And I was standing pretty much at the end of the start line, and I could hear him over the sound of the bike screaming. But he got a few hole shots, so it works.
did you find that experience fun, mate, going to the Supercross and getting in amongst all that?
Yeah, that was unreal. I haven't been to many. I think I've been to a couple Supercrosses or motocrosses when I was younger to watch, but to actually be there up close, standing on the edge of the track and watching them jump, it's a different ball game out there.
Yeah, it's you kind of forget how you watch so much of it on TV, and then until you go 2-1 again and watch it live, you sort of forget how big all the jumps are. And like them Supercross triples, bro, they're a massive jump, and there's like kids on 85s just sending the things, like it's.
Yeah, like they come around a corner and they've got 2 meters to gas it, and then seat bounce, and they're just triple, doubles. It's so cool.
Have you had any other cool experiences like that outside of obviously all the content you do for Fank?
Yeah, I've travelled when I was working with Grabbo 2 years ago. That was amazing experience. So we did Finke, and flew over to Don River, Kalgoorlie, and Jamaica. That was cool. And yeah, the World Supercross, went to the World Supercross last year, and then the one this year was cool because the Lawrence brothers were there. That was a pretty cool experience to sort of walk around and be up close with them, and Cooper Webb was there. That was pretty eye-opening. Yeah, that was a cool experience.
How do you get yourself roped into that? Is it just as much as applying for a media pass or something like that to get access, or?
Yeah, you just go online, pretty much tell them who you are and what you do, and then you just hope that you get approved for it. And yeah, my cousin Bradley and I were lucky enough to be approved to go in, and it's literally a free ticket into the Supercross, and then you get to go up close and film the riders.
So you don't need to have any actual credentials or anything. You just need to be able to prove that you do the content stuff.
When I applied for the first Supercross, I put down who I'd done work for, and I'm pretty sure once they approve that and you go to apply for more, they already know kind of, or they might have you on the list. But I think if it's a packed event and there's lots of media there and you're just a guy with a camera and try to get in, I don't know if it's that easy to get in. I'm not too sure, but I think you have to kind of, have something behind you.
Out of all those other desert racing events, what's been the most enjoyable one for you? What do you really enjoy going to? Your Don Rivers or your Haddars or?
Outside of Alice?
Yeah.
Haddar is wicked. I do love going to Haddar. I think it's better to watch than Finke, because obviously Finke, they just fly past and that's it. You got to wait till the next day. Whereas Haddar, they're cutting laps for 4 hours. That is a pretty live action event to watch, especially filming and that. So That's probably my favourite one. Kalgoorlie's wicked. Don Rivers cool as well. Jamalca was cool as well. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Hattah. Yeah, Hattah's pretty brutal.
Is there any events you've been to and you've got there and thought, I'm probably not going to get the content I was chasing out of here?
Yeah. Don River was it's like Fink. They come flying down
Yeah.
the river, turn around and come back. And there's lots of just white dust in the air. And that was still a cool event to film, but you sort of go there with a bit of an imagination of the footage you're going to get. And sometimes, yeah, like you go to a live race and then you just got to get the footage as fast or, you know, as best you can. And you don't end up getting the shots you thought you were going to get.
Does the car stuff interest you at all in the, like racing with Fink and Don and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, I haven't actually done a full proper shoot, say, of a buggy. I get shots of the cars if I'm on the ground at Fink. But I'm sorry, I did follow Smoothie and Dobby in that trophy truck in 2023, and that was sick. And I'd love to get more car footage for sure.
Yeah, the chopper stuff would be pretty sick. Watching the car, same deal with the bike. Like you're watching the bike work, you're watching the car work. Like
Yeah, and the cars are on another level again. Like he'll just come flying through a huge set of whoops. We call them the Gow grabbers. The Gow grabbers.
I'm not familiar.
Oh, one of our mates, Simon Gow, crashed in these huge whoops. Whereabouts is it? Just before Alice Creek. You come,
I know the ones,
come
that
over
Honda
a dune. Old Honda camp, come over a dune.
Oak
and then
trees.
it's those huge ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Smoothie, when he come through there in his truck, he slowed down a bit to preserve it, but he just nailed through them. And they're huge. Like, I know how big they are. But yeah, watching that car move down the track and you could hear it. It was so loud, like screaming in my ear the whole way.
Speaking of crashing, have you had many instances where you've been out filming and someone's maybe not riding a bit over their head, but has come unstuck?
I've had a lot of people just have a few moments in front of me, and you see the camera go all wonky and me running off the track. It actually happened at Prologue last weekend. My mate Jesse hit a square edge, and then basically I thought he was coming at me, but I moved pretty quick. I was down filming with my mates a few weeks ago, and don't know if I'll say his name, but my mate had a pretty big crash right in front of me, and I captured it, and yeah, it scared me. But he's only young; he's 19 years old, so he just got straight up and walked it off. And I thought, man, if that was me, I'd still be laying there.
Yeah, well, that was a follow-up question. Like, many times if it has happened, you sort of just scrap that footage, or do you see if they're all right?
Yeah, I guess at the time, the first thing that runs through my head is, should I put the camera down? But then I'm also like, they might get up and say, surely you got that on footage. So, yeah, I would never post that footage. But the following day, he was telling his mates about it down the track, and he's like, Jadezo, show him that video. So I'm like, all right, I'll show him, but I wouldn't show him, without their permission, and I wouldn't post it on socials. There has been a few, I guess, little crashes or moments that I get on camera, but I guess people trust me. I'm not going to put that on the internet. I think I'm going to upload a bit of a mashup reel after Fing and just throw together all the crazy shots I got, and I think I'll put the crashes in there once Fing's over.
Few moments as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I suppose it'd be the other thing as well. You're messing with some of the top dudes, and they probably don't want to get out if they've had a bit of a bingle. Probably don't want everyone knowing about it.
Nah, it's very secret. There's a lot of secret squirrel things down the Fink track. And I guess even with me going down and filming all these different teams, you know, I don't know everything, but I find out certain things, or not necessarily what settings they're running and that, but things happen and people know that I'm not going to go and, you know,
Yeah.
it's none of my business. But
Yeah, do you have any of that? Do you ever have someone come up and sort of ask a question? You know, they've seen that you've been on the track with XYZ, and they come up to you and say, "Hey, what's he doing here, or what's going on there?"
nah, not really, because I think they know I probably
Yeah.
won't tell them. Every time I go pre-running though, people say, "Oh, how did they go?" or "How did old mate go?" And if there's obviously no dramas, I just say, "Yeah, no, it was good." But sometimes even if they did have dramas, I
Yeah.
just say, "Yeah, no, it was
Sweet.
good. It was sweet." So yeah, I gotta, like I said, I'm just a guy with the camera who films everyone, so I don't really want to be the middleman.
Have you met any cool people doing this sort of stuff?
Yeah,
Maybe someone you didn't think you'd get to meet, and this has brought you in.
I
Hello.
almost got a chance to go down and film Toby. Well, I ended up messaging him, Toby Price, when he was up here on his Dakar bike, but I messaged him a day too late. He said, "Oh, I'm already on the flight home. I would have come down with you." I was also supposed to go down and film Chucky until he had that accident, which would have been pretty cool to go down and meet him
Yeah.
and get some content of him. Yeah, I'm always meeting pretty cool people though, especially like I said when we went to the Supercross, got to meet Cooper Webb, Dean Wilson. Didn't necessarily go up and talk to him, but you kind of feel like you meet
Yeah.
him there. We spoke to Dino, and I even got one of his jerseys, which was pretty
yeah.
cool. There's probably a few other people I've met, and I've probably forgotten, to be honest.
Are you a bit surprised how close you are? Obviously, be close with all these top dudes. You just sort of think you get to that stage, and when you first started out, you know, shooting a few things, did you think you'd, you know, be this friendly with all the top 10 guys here at Fink?
I guess not. So when I started, I was already filming David Walsh. When he was on the
Yeah.
Honda team, it was David Walsh, Damon Stokey, Michael Walsh and Caleb Oric. And I guess I sort of just focused on them. I'd still film other boys, but I think as time has gone on, and every year I film more and more, I guess people sort of know that I do the video packages for Fink and that. And yeah, then I had like 627 Racing. My mates hit me up a few years ago to do some videos for him. And then obviously Grabbo, I filmed for him. And yeah, I guess people, they could fly someone in to film for them, but if they know I'm the local guy here, I think sometimes it's just easier to hit me up, I guess. And obviously I'm happy to film anyone and everyone. But yeah, I definitely didn't think I'd be filming this many people at this stage.
Have you ever had to turn anyone away?
Had to turn anyone away?
Yeah.
Probably before, if I'm already booked out for a day. But most of the time I just say, can we do it on another day? Or, yeah, if I'm away or something, but not usually. Like I try and film as much as I can and try and film everyone if I can.
Have you had any like bizarre requests from people that, you know, they sort of want the video edited some sort of way, or to do something a bit odd?
No, I don't reckon I have. Most people, I think most people just see the sort of content that I put out
And they're
for
happy.
Fink, and then they're like, "Oh, we'd like you to do our stuff." Obviously, I ask them, "What sort of content do you want, or what do you want it to be focused on?" No, I don't reckon I've had anyone ask me something crazy that I'm like, "I got no idea how to do that."
What about like anyone with copyright music or something like that? Like, sort of got to let them down easy, or is it a bit different these days? I suppose with Instagram and stuff, how you can just throw the big songs and stuff over clips.
Yeah, so for YouTube, if you want to be monetized, you have to use non-copyright music. But when it comes to Instagram, just use whatever music you want. You can upload a video with your own music in it, but I always try and use Instagram's audio because it just helps push the
Yeah.
videos further.
What's your biggest social platform, do you think? What has boosted you the most?
I'd say Instagram and Facebook. I do have TikTok as well, which has the most followers on, but I don't know, TikTok, it's a bit,
Yeah,
it's
a bit
one of
hard,
those,
isn't it?
it's one of those apps that there's still a lot of active people on there, but I think Instagram is probably where I make the most sales off of as well. Like, people usually just reach out to me on Instagram and
Yeah.
ask to do videos and that. And I try and use Instagram to push people to my YouTube to say, if you want to watch the full video, it's on YouTube, and
Yeah.
Facebook as well. Facebook's pretty good for that.
You can tell me to piss off if you don't want to answer it, but do you make, I'm guessing, not much money out of the YouTube stuff? Like,
Not a lot. I don't, because, and that's only my own fault, I don't put enough time and effort into it. It's always been a bit of a dream to just live full time off of YouTube and make dirt bike content. But yeah, the most money I make is around Think Time, but it's not enough to live off of. It's a
Yeah.
bit extra cash, but you need to pretty much go all in, do it full time. And I've seen a lot of people say you got to be in it for the long run. Like it might take you a fair few years to build up and start making decent money off of.
actually, I saw the other day, you'd probably get it a bit just random comments on Instagram and Facebook of people sort of trying to tell you how to do stuff. There was one the other day, I can't remember. I think it was on Facebook, and someone was, I think it was Hazy, was cruising along in the whoops, and he was hooking. And someone in the comments was saying, "Oh, everyone these days is just a show pony. They only turn it on when the camera's out and all this shit." Like,
Yeah, I saw that, and I basically just replied, I try not to be mean to anyone at all, even if I disagree with what they're saying. If people want to comment on my videos, they can say whatever they want. And obviously, like I said, I'm not going to have a go at them, or, freedom of speech, I guess. But I said, he's literally, I didn't say it, but in my head I'm thinking he's not actually putting it on for the camera. That's how
That's
he
him,
rides. But I said, these boys are riding at a comfortable level, especially if they're trying to win it. That's pretty much what you have to do. And seeing, a few of my mates sort of like that, as if to say, that's what these boys do.
Has there been any comments or anything on something that have got to you, or maybe the opposite way, you just sort of shake your head and laugh?
There's been lots of comments. Not lots, but there's been a fair few comments, and even the next day I'll go down the track with the boys and they'll say, "Oh, how's old mates comment on your, Instagram or Facebook?" And I just say, sometimes I just let it go, and someone else will argue with them. I don't have to argue back; someone else will. But if it's a ridiculous comment, I think I'll just reply with clap clap, or I just won't even reply to it.
Has there been any that have gotten under your skin, sort of thing, that you want to go to bed at night and sort of thought it might have got the better of you? Anything like that?
There has been maybe one or two comments on there, but like I said, I don't really need to worry about it. It's not my worry.
I suppose most of the comments probably aren't directed directly towards you.
Yeah,
It's more so, the video itself, or the rider, or something along those lines.
Yeah, that's right. There has been a few where I got a bit, I guess, boiled up for like maybe 10 or 15. I was actually with my mate Tom. Tom Boyle is one of my best mates, and it was pretty funny. And then probably another 10 minutes went by, and I'm like, oh, he's a nobody. Like, you don't need to get worked up over it. Like,
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, I remember what it was.
Do you care to share? Or is the said person going to maybe listen and...
Nah, I won't say names, but there was a comment on one of my videos, and obviously he was trying to have a go at me, but I just replied, clap, clap. That's what I give those people.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Has it been difficult sort of thing to try and be consistent with the social media stuff? Like, obviously that's a way to crack into the, try and make a living as a influencer, I guess, content creator.
Mm.
Has it been difficult for you to try and maintain the, uploading something sort of every day and keeping that up?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's going to say last year or just before last year where I actually came across a video on TikTok. I don't scroll on TikTok anymore, but I was scrolling through TikTok. I come across this video of a guy basically explaining how to grow your socials. And I started doing that consistently every day. And that's pretty much like what you're saying. I was uploading every night and it worked. But yeah, I got to a point where I was running out of footage and I felt like I was maybe throwing up the same video maybe once or twice or 3 times, not in a row, but once Fink's over, we got Hattah. I can go down and film the boys on the weekend and that, but it is hard to stay consistent. So that's why at Fink time I obviously get a lot of content for people and I've got enough content to upload consistently, but then after a while, usually it's, what do I do now? I'm off to Supercross or, I've got to go down the track and try and make some content.
Yeah.
And that's like going back to my YouTube where I get a bit lazy. I need to just try and stay consistent and pump out some vlogs.
Would you say that's the hardest part of doing all this stuff is just the consistency?
Probably, yeah. Like I said, I ride myself, but it's shouldn't say it's way too hard, but if I want to go out and try and film myself, I'm trying to ride.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to film other people. And like I said, once Fink is over and all the big races are over, everyone goes back to work and, has a bit of a break in that. So, yeah, I've got to try and find as much content as I can to upload.
Talking about the riding stuff, have you had any cool collaborations or anything or stuff like that have, seen your content then have been happy to support you?
As in, like, posted my stuff or like...
Oh, posted your stuff or maybe sent you some free things or maybe have sponsored a post or something along those lines?
Yeah, I have had a few people sponsor me, which has been good. My local mate here in Alice Springs who owns Outback Gym and Fitness, he sponsors me. And that's probably why I upload stories every single day at the gym. Sometimes I think I'm not putting it on there to try and show anything. It's just to advertise his business. And Mally Motorcycles helped me out for about a year or two. Sent me some clothes and helped me out with some sponsorship, which was wicked. There has been a few people, that have helped me out along the way, which has been really good.
If you could have some support to go to one event around the world, where would it be?
That's a hard one. I'd love to go. I've always wanted to go over to America and film the Baja would be pretty cool,
Yeah.
I reckon. I know my mate Hamo wants to go over there and race it eventually, so I think I said to him, I'll come over with you.
Yeah, those dudes, they love hanging outside of a chopper with a camera, so
Yeah.
right up your alley.
Yeah, I still chat to Colton Udall here and there because he come up and raced on the Honda team here at Fink.
Yeah.
And yeah, he always says, "Oh, if you come up, like come stay at my place." And he knows a lot of guys over there that I could try and connect with. But yeah, I reckon the Baja would be pretty cool. Honestly, even the Supercross over there would be unreal to go and watch and film.
Do you find it harder to shoot and stuff like that compared to Fink or any of the desert racing?
If I've never, I guess, been to a race before, and I mean, you go out and have a look at the track and that, and you can hear the bikes coming, so you know where to shoot from. But there has been a couple races I've been to, obviously for my first time, and I was a bit nervous, I guess. But yeah, like I said, if it's a live race, you just get the best shots you can, and yeah, work with that.
Going down the Fink track, we'll stick to the riding. What's your favourite part to ride when you actually do get a chance when you're down the track?
Probably those nice big smooth whoops before they get rough, to be honest.
Whereabouts?
I'd say down the further end,
Yeah.
once they're a bit more, I'm sure you know the ones I'm talking about. They're just a bit more spread out. They're nice and even, and you can come through them pretty fast, get a nice flow through them, and you're not going to get bucked over the bars.
What about your favourite spot to film? It's probably the opposite, the big dirty ones at 80k, something like
That's
that.
a very hard question. Favourite spot to film? Even the shot I got of you today was wicked. I love just standing at the very end of a big straight of whoops and just get the bike coming at me top gear. That's probably my favourite. Last year I stood just after Bundooma Tank and got the boys coming through that big fast.
Yeah.
They were pretty fast whoops. You know, that they were big and rough, but I knew they were going to be high speed. And yeah, watching those boys come through there was pretty crazy.
Has there been a spot, maybe not at Fink, could be somewhere else, where you've sat up in a spot and you thought it was going to be a pearler, and the shot you got just didn't turn out the way you thought it would?
Yeah, I feel like there's been a couple times where I thought, I've walked it just sounds lazy, but I've walked all the way down to this spot, and then I get there and there's a tree in the way.
Yeah.
But I've knocked a lot of trees down that track for sure to make sure I get the right shot. But yeah, like I said, I'll walk down and I'll watch the bike come through and be like, I reckon it'd be pretty cool if I went down the end there and sat up on that corner. And then I get down there and it's terrible. I'm like, just whatever, waste my time.
Mate, we spoke about it before. You haven't really had a fuck up yet, but the hard drive thing was what come pretty close.
Yeah, that was probably one of the scariest things. And I told my mate after we'd recovered it, the guy I did the job for, and he just sort of laughed. I said, yeah, if I had have lost all that footage, I said, I reckon I would have jumped off my roof head first.
Have you heard any other horror stories or anything like that? You know, obviously you've been in communities and stuff that all do the same sort of thing. Have you heard many others that sort of they have done that sort of stuff? You know, lost a whole job's worth of filming or?
I don't reckon I have from, say, a friend of mine. You do hear stories about how people say they've maybe gotten all the way home from filming an event and there's a few photos and that missing, but I can't really think of one that's terrible. Like I said, usually the technology these days is that good, like, you know, your SD cards and hard drives and that, they're pretty safe. So I don't reckon that I've heard of many, to be honest.
Fair enough. Mate, if you were going on a long haul flight to, let's say you're going to London, you're jumping on there, you've somehow snagged a first class ticket. You sit down, who's the one person you wouldn't want sitting next to you? Anyone in the world?
Wouldn't want sitting next to me.
Yeah. And then we'll spin it the other way as well. You'll get someone who you sit down, you've snagged your
Wouldn't want
first.
sitting next to me. I don't know. I guess someone who's going to chew my ear off.
So you might have had a mate or something you would have enjoyed throwing under the bus.
I don't know. I can't think of anyone who I wouldn't want to sit next to.
we'll flip it the other way. Yeah, same thing. You've somehow snagged your first class ticket. You sit down. Who would you want there for that long haul flight?
I'm going to go with Ryan Walters.
Who's?
He's a guy, he does all the Monster Energy videos.
Oh, yeah.
He's a guy I guess I've always sort of looked up to. He does all Axel Hodges filming
righto.
and stuff, and he's shot some pretty cool stuff. I'm sure I could sit there and chew his ear off the whole way.
Fair enough, mate. Well, what's next? What's in the plans for JA Edits?
So I'll be filming the STE Boys tomorrow, which is pretty cool. So when's this podcast being released?
Probably tonight.
Tonight.
Yeah, maybe.
I won't say too much, but I'll be filming the STE Boys tomorrow, which will be pretty exciting. Then obviously Fink coming up. Hammer and I have got the helicopter booked out, so I already know what that's going to be like. I'm hanging for that. And then after Fink will be Hadar, which will be cool. Go down and film that. I love Hadar. And we'll just see what happens after that. There's always things that kind of pop up out of nowhere, which is probably a bit of luck for me. Like people ring me up and get me to do jobs for them. What's another big one that's coming up?
You going to venture back up to Don River Dash, mate, or you not going to bother?
I might actually. As long as I feel like it clashes with something else, and that's why I couldn't go last year. Might just be the Supercross. But yeah, I think I did have a guy reach out to me, maybe even two guys who were keen to get some content. So if someone's keen to get some content, I'll definitely try my best to get over there. So that'll be cool.
If anyone does want a bit of content off you, mate, what's the best way to get in contact?
Yeah, you could message me on Facebook, which is JA Edits, or message me on Instagram, which is J_Annesley. Give him my email, I guess.
Throw it in there if you want, mate.
Yeah, JAYDSO@hotmail.com. That's my email. Yeah, most people, I guess, find me or reach out to me on socials.
Right, mate. Well, thank you very much for coming on. Your ambition and how much you love doing what you do, mate, it showed today when we were both down the track. I really enjoyed to see how passionate you were for what you do, mate. I think if you give it enough time, you'll soon find that it'll be repaying you, I think, mate.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's always good fun. Like I said, it's not really work for me. It's always good fun going down and filming you guys, doing what you love and being able to capture it all for you.
Mate, well, I appreciate your time for coming on the Knocked Off podcast, and maybe this time again next year it'll be the same again and be in some big mansion or something like that, mate, that you're paying for.
That's it, mate. I reckon we will be.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for having me.